Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Three Geeks interview with Jason and Justin. We are joined today by Frank Schubert. How are you doing today?
It was a terrible day today. Yes. Like the fucking worst. and this is by far the high point.
Good.
Really?
Glad to hear it. Yeah.
I had a long day myself.
Sometimes a day job sucks.
So you have the nickname No. How did that come about? I'm just kind of curious now. We'll jump into your past and where you come from, but I'm kind of curious.
About 5 years ago or so, 6 years ago, my friend had told me about Hotel Utah in San Francisco. And it's an open mic on Monday night. And it's like all the weirdos of San Francisco, that's where they go and sing songs and play. And I thought, that's pretty cool. So I went there. I live about 40 minutes from there, but I went there one night and I was blown away by, because I was a professional musician, which means I made my money that way. So when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm a musician," I'm thinking, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, you work, with Circuit City or something, but you're a musician full time, right? Anyway, I said that up to say, when people would say, "What kind of music do you play?" I'd say, anything they'll pay me for. I was a professional musician, right?
Yeah.
So there was this whole community of hundreds of people who did it just for fun and didn't even do it that good, but they had so much fun. I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. So it took me going there 2 or 3 times, chickening out twice, because I've done that since a long time. Just play guitar and sing something. I was always in a band or a musical, an orchestra setting or something. Mm-hmm. So I was scared. Anyway, the first time I did it, it was the third time I went there to do it because I chickened out the first 2 times. And I had 5 gin and tonics, the big ones. And
were you able to walk up there?
By the time, because my name up, and it was like 11 o'clock. And I had met this Native American, and he was really nice, Tygel, really nice guy. And he did beatbox. And after a couple of drinks, I was like, "Hey, Tygel, why don't you come up and do rhythm for me? Because I'm scared. It's the first time I've been on stage for a long time. And like a really long time by myself." So he gets up there. By the time we go up there, the last thing I remember about that night was I was really careful walking on stage because by now I'm so fucking drunk. And I'm thinking, oh, this would look really fucking lame if I am so drunk for my premiere, I fall down on stage. So I'm being careful because I'm over my limit, way over my limit. And the last thing I remember was I plugged the guitar in, and the guy, Brendan Goodsell, awesome musician, he runs the thing. And he said, and he announces the performers. And okay, and I was so drunk I had written my name so he couldn't read it. And he goes, and he kind of made a joke and said, "Do you have a name?" And I thought he said, something else, but anyway, I said no, and ladies and gentlemen, no. That's one of the last things I remember. Then the next thing I remember, which is awful, don't ever do this, kids. I remember driving home, and I had enough drinks, so I had to close one eye to drive. No, that's stupid. Don't ever fucking do that. And I praise whatever gods there are that they got me home, because I saw not 2 lines going down the road, but 4.
Oh man. Yeah, very risky business. Yeah.
People don't ever do that. It's the worst fucking feeling. Whoa. Eesh. I should have stopped. Anyway, that was 6 years ago. That's the last time I ever did it. I don't remember doing it before that. That's just I was scared.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? So, Ohio.
Jason, you're unmuted, but yeah, Ohio, Columbus, and you're in California, outside of San Francisco. It sounds like.
I worked with these guys. In fact, David Kendrick plays in Revolution now, and Devo, that band from Ohio.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So, what kind of got you involved in music? What was your first? Was it like a band in school? Was it something like a CD you would listen to? Like, I really want to follow in these footsteps, or anything like that. That kind of got you into music.
I was young.
Yeah.
I'd say 4 or 5 years old is when I started thinking, whoa, what's that? And so my first memory of trying to make music was my older brother had a guitar that I later found out the only reason he bought this guitar was he wanted to impress this girl to get laid.
Sure, yeah.
Or he thought she'd like it.
But there are a lot of guitars that are purchased with such intentions.
Yeah. Oh, for me too. Except I ended up liking guitar better than the girls. Well, no, okay, at least equal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember he was in high school or something, and his room was open, and I was laying on the bed, and I picked it up, and I was like totally forbidden. Keep that kid out of it. Don't let him in my room. Well, I knew I was in trouble anyway, but I picked it up and I went to play it. And this is the only time since I was 5 years old that this has happened. But the string, E string, high E string, when I hit it real hard and it broke, but it broke at the top of the neck, not the bottom, right? They always break at the bottom and then they just go off this way. This one came this way and stuck on my finger.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm a little kid. I didn't learn my lesson. I got in trouble for playing his guitar. They said I broke his whole guitar.
Oh, man.
An E string was broke. Anyway, yeah, that was my first one. Then after that, I remember I lived near Chicago, and they had these blues stations on at night. And I would my parents had a radio for me, and I would put it under the pillows and the blanket and stuff and listen late at night to these blues people. Oh, so fucking cool, man. I was like in a different world. And then I flunked the first grade because I couldn't stay awake in class because every night I was listening to music, right? 2 or 3 in the morning. I had to get up at 8 or I thought I was retarded.
Just rolling in the bed, rolling in the room, rather.
Yeah, so they kept me back on the first grade and then bumped me from 2nd to 6th grade the next year.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So they moved from 2nd to 6th grade? So you jumped 4 grades?
Well, yeah, because I learned to read when I was really, before I went to school.
Sure.
So I'm really good at passing tests. I'm not that smart. I'm just good at passing tests.
How did the kids in 2nd grade, you got left behind 1 grade or whatever, and they just see you skyrocket past them and be like, what the heck? Imagine being the kid.
I was in love with girls at an early age.
Sure, okay.
With Miss Story. She was the 1st grade teacher, and I thought, I don't ever want to have another teacher, so I'll this 1st grade and I'll get her again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, then I got her in 2nd grade, and I realized she wasn't that hot anymore. she's getting older.
Your crush faded. Time to move on.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, I'll apply myself. And then, oh, shit, this kid's smart.
So besides the musician,
So,
you're
yeah.
also a scientist and an engineer?
You're fading in and out, Jason, but yeah.
So us engineers say, fuck, we're not scientists. Those guys just think of things you can't build, right? But we always get all our inspiration from those guys. But yeah, I'm kind of stuck in between that. I'm like musician first, right? And then industrialist. No, inventor, industrialist. There you go.
Okay, cool.
And I understand engineering. I get a lot of science. I did Einstein. I understand that stuff. And astrophysics. My thing is Mars. That's how I was.
Sure. So that rover's pretty big deal for you. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
What's that?
That rover just landed there, right? It was a Curiosity. Was that the name of it?
Yeah.
That's a big deal for you. Yeah.
Nice piece of machinery from an engineering point of view. Oh, there's a lot of private guys that are doing good PR, but these guys at NASA who are working on government wages came up with some stuff that's fucking amazing. Yeah. So, it's a wonderful, solar system, much less universe. It's amazing. On the one hand, oh God, we're fucking up the planet left and right. But if we can control that and control this whole thing, I feel like there's people that understand both science and sociology, how this could, instead of polluting the world for money. Now, most people that I know that are a lot younger, I feel like I do that. Like, you do it to try to, you want to live well, but Jesus, not at the expense of so many other people being so far below,
Right. Yeah, what is it? Rising tide raises all ships. Yeah.
So Elon, I don't know if they told me I know him. But, Elon I recently heard him say that he was getting rid of all his houses because he said, Elon, this is funny because he said, well, they're a vector of criticism, meaning that, houses, people attack you for that. And I thought, wow, that's pretty funny. But the only thing, I like him a lot, but I think there's a couple of things he's like got blinders on, like all these videos of alien ships that the Navy has fucking taken. Is that a joke or is that real? I think it's real that these things are out there.
It wouldn't surprise me in the least. The galaxy's huge, right? The universe is a massive place.
Yeah, just from a mathematician's point of view, it's impossible. Almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Like 15 zeros after the thing. If there's 100 billion other galaxies, and then 100 trillion other planets just like this, the odds that I suppose you can believe in God.
Yeah.
Flat Earth.
Flat Earth, yeah. Are you a flat earther? No? Is that?
Well, I'm so in all. If the universe is infinite, then all things exist.
Wouldn't there be some logical around it though? Like you shouldn't like gravity and like the whole.
Oh, not here. This stupid idiots. They're just doing it for publicity.
Yeah.
They want to get on your podcast.
I would love to interview a flat earther. I would love to.
Well, there's some guy. Yeah, you should do that because there's some guy from Oregon that's sort of the leader of the whole thing, and he will do interviews and stuff. And And this whole thing is, well, they're just lying to you. And they tell us everything is wrong. The telescopes, these guys who went to the moon, they were lying. No, okay, maybe they were.
We were in a race. No, we were in a race.
Yeah, I've seen compelling evidence, but you never know. Like one thing, a friend of mine who thinks that was totally fake said, "Well, what about the blast crater?" So, what they're talking about is there were cameras on the sides of this lander, right, the LEM, and it came down, and it's common knowledge. There's 8 to 10, 12 inches of regolith, which is soft powder, right on the moon. That's why the astronauts left footprints everywhere. Well, when you land and this rocket engine's going, it's going to make a blast crater.
For sure.
Right? Look at any picture of the LEM, and there's no blast crater. They might have doctored it. Who knows? They obviously lied about the power, right? That's another thing. They should have just told the truth and they'd get rid of this whole conspiracy. In 1969, that they did not have the technology to make batteries strong enough to run LEM for the time it's there. It's impossible, right? Unless you want to bring along a 14-ton fucking battery, right? So they lied about it. The reason, and I used to think it was a conspiracy to say they didn't go. Now I realize, my opinion, my humble opinion, is they just didn't want to admit that they put a nuclear engine on the moon. It was a small nuke. There's a fucking design for it. You can Google this stuff. That's what's still there. And back in the early aughts, that Bill Bass guy, I was involved with a group. They wanted to put a lander on the moon right next to it, where this nuclear engine is still running. It's a small one. It's like a double-sized coffee thermos or something.
Sure.
It's not super big. But anyway, if they would have just told the truth, they would knock the hell out of that whole conspiracy thing. That's what I think is fucked about conspiracies, is because sometimes it's true, but it's so hard to tell.
Yeah. For every one that's right, there's probably 10,000 that are goofy enough that are totally wrong, right?
Yeah, but there's some outrageous shit that has happened. So, like these videos, these are straight on, not like these pilots are not prone to lying about things like this, right? Because they're scrutinized so heavily about every little thing you do with their military. So, what was it?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm excited to find out.
Yeah.
Well, let's swing this back around to some music stuff, right? Because you've worked with so many cool people, at least according to what we read here. Like Aretha Franklin, what was it like working with the Queen of Soul?
Once the song set started, it was like unbelievable, and one of those experiences, because she would really put her, at 75% of the time. A couple of times she was like a lounge thing. But when she would be into it, it wasn't a long time. I was a fill-in guy for a friend, one of my really good friends. He smashed his hand on his motorcycle, and I had like half an hour to learn a 45-minute set. That was one of those things. Fly to Vegas and be ready to play with a fucking Aretha Franklin.
Right? Yeah, that'd be stressful. Yeah.
No, the good news was there was like one solo in the whole set that I had to feature, and everything else was just stay out of the way. And she was, I had a whole different dressing room and all that stuff with her. So, and I worked with the MD, the musical director. On the solo, she 2 nights out of 6, she turned around and smiled. I didn't get fired, so there you go.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's sweet.
But it was cool. It was,
When was this anyway? Like, was there a certain song that was super popular for her at the time, or do you remember when, like, in her timeline it was?
So remember when the Blues Brothers movie?
Sure, yeah.
That was early 80s, I guess. So this was late 80s, then. Early 90s, something like that.
Cool.
It was in Las Vegas, the MGM.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite that you've played with so far?
Not that, famous names, but the famous names are like Rod Stewart was pretty fucking cool. And that was another one where I just sat in 5 nights in a row, and then their normal guy was back. That was my trick. I can hear a song, or I don't even have to hear it. If I just hear the first, I know what key it's in. That's the main thing. And then I'm really fast, so there's only 12 places I have to go. Well, you can narrow that down to 2 or 3 or 4, theory, right? So I can play along with people mostly, and they won't know that I don't know the song.
That's the engineer talking in you, right? Like I can math my way through this. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did another gig Sunday. I did my first. Since the Hotel Utah closed, I haven't played at Utah for about 2 years, and Utah is usually by myself. So it's been a couple of years since I've done it. But I played at the flea market in San Francisco, the lower Sunset District, not the upper Sunset District. This is lower Sunset District, right next to the ocean. And it's a flea market, and they have 2 stages for musicians. And your only real requirement is don't play too loud and don't make the vendors mad. Right, so it was the perfect thing for me because I was just wanted to sit there, play to the Jose.
Yeah.
And it was really fun, and no electricity, right? So I had to get. I bought one of those Cube battery powered amps.
Okay.
So I used battery powered amp, acoustic guitar, a microphone, and I had a looper so I could play beats.
That's cool. That's fun.
Yeah, it was really went well. Well, do I know what I'm playing? I got done it. And then they called me up the next day and booked me for 4 more gigs.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But see, I'm a ham, so I'm going to get bored with people not looking at me pretty soon. Big stage.
That's awesome. So I know you mentioned that you play anything if it was paying, right? But what do you enjoy playing? What's your genre of choice? Do you have one?
Anymore, it's not. So now it's not about the money; it's just about the music.
Sure.
Like that has sort of changed through part of all these nutcases. It's typical, when they think of San Francisco lefty whack cases, come to the Utah. Really fun there. Anyway, I like popular. I think I really liked Miley Cyrus. Her last album, I thought was music and lyrically really good. I personally, her whole persona thing, I know that it's public, right? I don't know her personally. Although I'm actually only 1 degree removed from her because a good friend of mine works with her.
Oh.
So, Wayne Coyne from the Flaming Lips.
Okay, nice.
We did. So there's a cool story. We did a remote recording. David Kendrick and I, David, from Devo. He's the. I mentioned that he's the drummer from Revolution. He's so fucking good, man. I love that guy. Anyway, we did a thing about 10 years ago with Wayne Coyne, where we were in the Mars habitat, and we set up the drums down in the lab, and we wrote some songs, and then we sent them out like as if we were on Mars. We sent them out to other musician friends of ours, and they would write parts for it and send us back, this stuff like basically like what we're doing now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, like, this was 15, 20 years ago. Anyway, so Wayne, never forget this. We had this song super fast, and it was only like a minute and a half, really fast, like a minute and something. And David and I, we had this really like strong drum sound because we record. The habitat was all steel, right? So recording in there, drum set. We just had 2 mics, but it came out really fucking punchy. And so we sent it to them while we were in there, and Wayne and who's the guitar player? I can't think of his name right now. Those 2 took it into the studio and added lyrics and slowed it down to 1/5 the speed. So instead of it was wow. Wayne sing. It was awesome. Yeah, so and there's another band I really like, the Flaming Lips. Yeah, they're fun. He actually came out there one time. So I built this Mars habitat in the middle of the desert in Utah, and Wayne wanted to see it, and he doesn't like to fly, so he drives all around the country, right? And they were played in San Francisco, and they're like nutcase. To me, he's a fucking nutcase for doing this, but he drives from San Francisco back to Oklahoma City. Right?
Oh my goodness.
You drive right by, within 50 miles of the habitat. So he called me up and said, Frank, I'm going to stop there. And he's so goofy. So I'm waiting for him at this hotel that's about 20 miles from out, the cab's way out in the middle of the fucking desert. And this town is like 4 people, so that's way in the middle of the desert too. And I'm waiting in the hotel room, and I hear this knock, and I open it. He goes, "Hi, I'm Wayne." I know you are. So let's go see the amp. And I'm like, okay. And Michelle, his wife at the time was with him. And we had this truck that NASA with fucking cheap bastards wouldn't buy us good trucks. So we had this really long truck of 4, 2 rows of seats and with no shocks on it. We called it the chiropractor because it's so Wayne's sitting in the back, which is worse. We're driving down this road through these canyons and shit. And it was really fun. He came out there and took a bunch of pictures next to the camp and stuff. So, yeah. And then I talked to him a while ago. Right after he did that thing with Miley Cyrus, the Dead Pets thing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's 3-4 years now. Huh?
So was the Mars habitat, and was that working? Were you work with NASA to build that? Is that, did I hear that NASA or are you just replicating it? Forgive me, the habitat. I'm trying to think, because you mentioned using the truck.
There were 3 of them, right? And the first one was heavily NASA. It was on this project they had. It's a lease thing with the Inuits up there, and it's on Devon Island, which is the biggest uninhabited island in the world, and it's also an Arctic desert, so it's cold as fuck, but there's not a lot of snow. It's above 60 degrees, so it's well into the Arctic Circle. And yeah, so I ended up it's a long story. I had this crazy fucking girlfriend. She said, "Well, I'm going to the Mars Society tonight." What's that? But I wanted to get laid, so okay, let's go. And we go to this convention of these Mars nutcases. At the time, that was about 70% NASA people who actually wanted to do stuff instead of just work for the government. about 30% enthusiast like myself. I just went there, and I met this guy Schubert, and he had this really funny talk. And then this woman stood up. This guy stood up and said, well, you're going to go to Mars. You're going to kill all, even if it's only microorganisms, you're going to kill all these microorganisms. And Zubrin says, hey, lady. Sorry. Hey, buddy, did you ever use mouthwash? Millions of organisms you killed. Then I filled out this form. They asked for a volunteer. At the time, I was doing a lot of design work. I was playing in blues bands, which paid nothing. So I was designing houses for them, to pay the rent. And so they put me in this group. I don't know. I think I put my name down somewhere. They called me and said, would you come to this meeting? And I went there, and there was a space architect. Anyway, they got me involved in building this thing and the design of it. And so, and it was just but it was cool,
Yeah, sounds cool.
The next thing, and then I just backed off, and I'm busy I think I went on a short tour, Blues Hawks or something. Anyway, I come back and they said, hey, we're building it, and we want you to come over to this place and show us how to build the interior that you designed. And I go there, and they're screwing up, and it was really a weird construction. Takes someone that knows what they're doing. At least one guy in the crew's got to know what the fuck is. So they had a guy, an old crusty iron worker union guy, who thought this was the stupidest project. They had this space architect who was trying to put together a hand-built crane, hand-operated. I'm talking a big one like they would put on the side of a building.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to build this thing in the Arctic, right? And they can't even they can't put it together on a flat slab in Denver.
That's not going to work. Yeah, that's not going to work.
Looking at that going, and so they said, well, we're going to have the base done come here in 3 days in a row. I brought because I know construction guys, like band guys, So I brought a crew of 3 guys, 3 days in a row. Because they said they'd be ready and they weren't. The 4th day, we said, fuck it, we'll build this thing on the ground and show you how to put it together. And there was restrictions. Every piece had to fit into a Twin Otter, because this goes to an island, uninhabited island, way up in the Arctic. It's the only way you can get there. And, jeez. So anyway, they put it together, and it was fucked, because I had got this job to design a super fucking cool nightclub in Denver, right in the main part of downtown, where it was the capacity of this place was 3,000 people, right? And I had designed a walk-in, a big fucking walk-in cooler, and they had these girls with it, and there was an ice counter. And they would sell ice cold shots of vodka. You'd be dancing like a nutcase, go through a revolving door, go in there, buy a shot of this ice cold vodka. They'd shove you out, you'd be cool down, dancing again, right? It was really a cool club. Anyway, when they called me, and I thought, fuck, how often do I get a chance to go to a restricted island in the Arctic, do something for Mars? I gotta go. And I got in trouble. They told me I'd only be gone a week, and I was gone 3.5 weeks. And so, it was fun though. Fuck it. It was really fun.
Well, Frank,
anyway,
I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking to us.
I didn't get to know you guys. What are you guys doing?
Working a lot. Justin's talking, but he's muted.
Somebody's
I
got.
was talking a lot. I was saying great things about you. You'll never know, though. It was great.
But where can everybody find you online? We'll have to get you on again because I'd love to talk more of the science stuff with you.
Oh, they find me when I come on your show.
Yeah.
No, the band is Revolution, but I spell it weird, so nobody can ever find. No, actually, geez, all I have to do is press one more button, and we're going to be verified on Google. So if you type our name in, the block comes up. It says, we're over like 1.5 million streams and views and stuff.
Nice. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Royalty checks again. Like, oh, that's weird. I'm used to that.
No one there complaining about your success. You're killing it. That's great.
Well, hey, it was really great. And again, I apologize for being late.
You're okay.
You're absolutely fine. Everybody listening, watching, please hit that like button, subscribe, check out the band Revolution. And again, thank you so much for joining us.
Do you have any social media? No? Do you have any like Twitter, Twitch, YouTube?
We have the Revolution page on, but again, we spell it so no one can spell it.
All right. That's fair.
We're trying to, okay, here's the news flash. I'm working with Michael Romanoff in this super fucking advanced, like 2021 mastering studio.
Sweet.
Never been in a room that you could pick out the things like this. Anyway, he's agreed to be on board to master the whole Revolution album, the new one.
That's awesome.
Probably finish within 2 weeks. Oh, that'd be a thing. I'd love to come on and premiere a song or two, guys.
Yeah, do it. Sign us up. Cool.
In the next month or so?
Yeah.
We'll be here.
Let's do it, man.
I will email Eileen as soon as we're done. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
And that's our show, everybody. Thanks for listening. I am Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob. We always appreciate you guys tuning in and commenting along and everything else. Go check out this show or any of our other shows on thescenesnobs.com. Thescenesnobs.com. We love you. You guys are awesome. And if you would like, follow and subscribe to our social media. That really helps us go a long way. And please spread the word. Tell your friends. Have them come in. We love feedback and everything else. So everybody, you have a great day. Again, thanks for listening. Thescenesnobs.com. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.